Well, it's a number of things. André Øvredal, when he contacted me, I'd loved the autopsy of Jane Doe, and it's almost like a play, and it's these people locked in this room, and for him to be able to raise that tension in a very confined space, which is essentially what's happening with this movie on this, well, although a much bigger space and a bigger canvas for André this time. And I just thought, okay, I want to work with this guy, and I have this weird attraction to horror movies. I don't know what I've done. The Mummy. I did a wonderful movie called Dog Soldiers about werewolves. And when Dracula comes along, you've got to be a hard man to turn down Dracula. And it was a really, really lovely script. And you're right about me being fussy. It's why I didn't arrive for these interviews in a Ferrari. To my accountant's horror, I'm a little fussier than I should be. But I just love the idea of these people being trapped on the boat and having this monster, and as well as that, the history and heritage attached to this. And as I was saying before, less than a kilometre from where I live is the birthplace, the house that Bram Stoker was born in. So I consider him my neighbour. It's a bit of a stretch of the imagination, but, there you go. And one of the other big things is that I thought Universal were being very brave because, as you could see, they spent money on this. This is a lot of money, They wanted this to have scope and have the bigness of this at the beginning when we're in Bulgaria, and then to shrink it down and make this unbearable claustrophobia. And one other thing, when you're spending that kind of money, and I have to admire Universal for taking a chance on this, is there's no movie stars in this. It's not a vehicle for some, huge marquee name. Most of the actors in it are theatre-based, and it's a proper ensemble, which is difficult to write for. That all of the characters are beautifully drawn. And on top of that, you've got a monster like Dracula running around the ship killing people. For me, it was a no-brainer. It was a very easy yes. Well, Dracula is never going to go away. The book is wonderfully written, that he can be interpreted as a creative sees fit. If you look, our monster is very, very different from Christopher Lee and a lot of the other interpretations of the Dracula character. But those films are wonderful. They're still very watchable. It's the gothic aspect of it, this darkness, this kind of Victoriana. It's very seductive. And speaking of seduction, when you've got, there was a wonderful, I can't remember the name of the French actor who played him on a BBC thing the old one years and years ago, and he's this very attractive, very suave character, which is a perfectly legitimate interpretation if you're going to make it interesting. But our Dracula is a beast. He's a monster. He's an insatiable appetite for human beings, and he operates without conscience, completely amoral, and is horrific, as you've seen. And those kind of odds against a ship full of people who are not military men, who are in some cases barely literate, and they're trapped on this ship and trying to fend off or protect themselves from this beast. It just said to me that this is great material and great stuff to do a really, really good movie. Oh, most definitely, because we went back to the book. There has been a trend of making Dracula this kind of enigmatic, slightly sexy character that people fall under the spell of and are seduced by his powers. In our case, our guy will rip you asunder and will take different forms. You don't know which Dracula you're going to meet. And that's directly, coming from the book. We're going back to what Bram Stoker's imagination put on the page, and that's what we're after. Yeah, he's a guy. I mean, what attracted me to this, I wanted to, because logic would tell you that the captain should, when the merd hits the van, you should imagine that the leader, the captain of the boat, would step up, be the authoritative one, make the good decisions, and come up with plans. My captain is not like that. He's the head of a merchant vessel. They deliver goods from, parts of Eastern Europe back to. He's not a military man, and he's not a wartime leader. He's not a man that will step up to the plate. He's ready for retirement. He's got his grandson with him, and he wants peace and wants to retire to a small cottage in Ireland somewhere, and that's not allowed. So I like the humanness of that. The man is not a hero, and our wonderful Corey Hawkins is just fantastic in the movie. And leaders come from the least likely places. You don't know who the leaders are going to be and the heroes are going to be until disaster strikes. And Captain Eliot is not one of those. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, we thought I promised his mother that I'd look after him. In my mind, the mother had passed away, and he had the responsibility of this. It's all he has left of his daughter. Is this beautiful son who's full of life and vibrancy, and really wants to look after him and put him in school and all when his retirement comes around, and of course he's not allowed that. And I just like that everything is taken off him, and it's one of the things that makes it human. That it's not somebody turning around look what they did, let's get revenge. He begins to fall apart, as many of us mere humans probably do, and I just think that added to the tension that these people were very human. Not a bunch of heroes who let's make a plan and defeat the monsters. They just didn't know what to do, whether God was doing it to them, whether the presence of a woman was doing it to them. The superstitions come out, and the arguments start, and all that sort of thing. And the claustrophobia of being on that boat with this monster running rampage. I just thought it was a great take on this whole genre. Well, that's the idea. You have to get, if you're going to be outrageous with your monsters, the best way, and in fact the only way, to suspend an audience disbelief is to make the people as human as possible. Then you can go along with the drama and suspend your disbelief that much more. You got to care about these people, and I think you do care about these people on this boat. They're just unfortunate. They picked up the wrong cargo at the wrong time.